Great job in getting quiet. I really appreciate that. We have a much larger than normal crowd here, which is a great thing, but it makes it more challenging to do our next session, which is mini updates. This is a time where we normally go around the room, and pass the microphone. Everyone would normally get to introduce themselves, say hi. And if you're not a program lead and don't have an update to give, then you just pass the mic on. But we really may not have time for all that. So we're going to have only the program leads provide an update, and you can introduce your team members who are here with you. I think is a great solution to that. Apologize, we can't hear everyone speak, unfortunately. We are also going to try to limit your updates to about a minute if possible, just again due to the number of organizations here. So if you have a long list of updates, maybe think about scratching a few off. And we can also take written updates. If you want to email me, we can put together a document that has bullet points and put that on the website as well if there are important things to update the larger masses on, which I hope is the case. All right, I'm going to do a little work with the microphone here. We're going to start at Sarah's table right over here, but just give me 1 minute to get this going. And if you're still working on your notes, now's a great time to do that. Hold the bottom of the page. Here. And we have one microphone for the room to amplify the sound, so you don't have to use your outside voice. And then we have the tinier microphone for Zoom. Is what it is. So thank you.
Sarah Schaefer, Environmental Director for Quartz Valley Indian Reservation, and I'm here with Michaela Woody and Aiden Fernandez and Tuck Super, some of my awesome field crew. And updates for us, we have funding to put in some gauging stations in the Scott River tributaries, a bunch of gauging stations, and we have to do it really fast. And we're excited about being able to have more than just one point of measurement down in the canyon for flows for salmonids in the valley. We're also working with the Scott River Watershed Council on a big restoration project in French and Miners Creek, and we're very excited about that. And we're continuing with our TMDL monitoring and all the other monitoring and stuff that we do, and projects keep pouring in, and we are trying to keep up.
All right, hi everybody, I'm Desiree Tellis, Oregon State University, here with a whole cohort of folks. Super grateful to be working with. Laurel's going to comment on some stuff that we've been doing for plants and algae surveys that we repeated this year. Saw some interesting things. Issy will be presenting on that tomorrow. It's really cool patterns in plants and algae in the river this year. Christine's been working on dissolved oxygen stuff. That's also been really some interesting patterns that you'll hear about a little bit tomorrow as well. Aaron and Becca are here working on the sociocultural sides of the project. Also hear about some of that tomorrow. So I feel like I don't really have a lot of updates, except we're still furiously hanging out in the river, getting wet and muddy, and collecting lots of data that you'll hear more about tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. What about over here? Oh, okay. All right. Sorry.
Hi, Regina Chicazzolo with Save California Salmon. We advocated hard for dam removal, and now we're bringing all the local schools up and down and doing a lot of science camps to go see the 3 stages of dam removal. And we just started bringing them to see the fish spawning yesterday. And then beyond that, as far as our advocacy goes, we advocate for endangered species and flows in the Scott and Shasta, Trinity, and Klamath, and then all over California too. And then we're also working on dam removal in the Eel and the Upper Sacramento also. And then we're trying to, kind of show what a great social impact dam removal has had on our river communities too. We're based out of Orleans. And are a native run nonprofit, but we don't do on the ground monitoring science. We're advocacy and education.
Dadala Gausasis. Hey y'all, my name is Paul Robert Wolf Wilson. I'm a Klamath and Modoc tribal member, just here individually, but I'm a cultural practitioner and storyteller. And so from the Klamath and Modoc's perspective, we're welcoming salmon back into our reaches. This hasn't happened for generations. And so as a hunter and a fisher, culturally, it's super significant. I will also mention our Chwam and Cockatoo, our endangered species, are kind of hanging on for dear life. And so as we're taking that momentum from this huge win and celebration, we're also holding on to some of our cultural ties there. And we're looking at putting on our bringing back some of our fishing villages. And so that's one of the updates as a cultural practitioner. I'm super excited to see happen. Thank you.
Lyra Cressy from the Salmon River Restoration Council. I'm here with, I think, just one staff member today, Sam Strike, probably another couple over the next couple days. We've been working hard on floodplain and off-channel habitat fisheries restoration projects on the Salmon River, really trying to expand rearing habitat and, make the Salmon River a better place for our salmon, really focused on spring Chinook. As you heard my comment earlier, Salmon River has the last lingering wild population of spring Chinook on the Klamath, and they're also hanging on for dear life. Dam removal presents a hopefully big glimmer of hope for them. And I think that's it. Just out collecting spawning survey data this fall and always lots of other fisheries data on the Salmon River.
Hey, my name's Craig Tucker. Most of you know me from my work over the years with Karuk Tribe, but I'm now the communication strategist for the Humboldt Area Foundation. The foundation has a new Klamath River Fund. And so the idea is to take the momentum that's been created by dam removal and kind of keep it going. So if anybody wants to talk about HAF and their philanthropy in this arena, I'd be happy to talk to you.
Hi, my name is Sherry Whitmore. I'm with NOAA Fisheries, and I think the main update from us is that we recently signed our biological opinion with Reclamation for the next 5 years of their operations. I believe that was transmitted to the tribes today, and if anybody else would like a copy, please email me or somebody else from our agency. And we're also working on a rollout plan that you'll probably see here, maybe in with more of an announcement here pretty soon. So the only other thing is just to note for our partners, we recently opened a Medford office. And so we are now co-located with the Weather Service near the airport. Previous to that, a lot of us just worked remotely up here and with our primary offices in Arcata. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Michael Belchik. I work for the Yurok Tribe. I am working on water issues. I also coordinate with our crews on restoration and scientific data collection. So I'll let them, we have a lot of folks here, I'll let them speak about that.
Paso Crew Tribe Fisheries Program Manager. We have a lot of things going on. I guess one of the newer things is doing red and carcass surveys in the the dam removal footprint. So that's been happening for the last 3 or 4 weeks. We're also working with our partners and helping fund a lot of the implementation, design of restoration projects, working with the Middle Klamath Watershed Council on most of that. Also collaborating with Cal Trout and others on some of the fish monitoring, mainly the sonar and things like that. There's, I guess, others. We are, supporting some graduate students working on dam removal studies, those kind of things. So yeah, there's probably more to talk about than I have time, but anyway, I just kind of some of the highlights. Thanks.
I'm Nate Benet with Real Time Research, and I've been involved with some Klamath Basin research since 2009 on piscivorous waterbird predation on ESA listed suckers in the Klamath Basin. And with support from the Bureau of Reclamation, we recently released a 2021 to 2023 report on avian predation on ESA listed suckers. And an update with that report, there's also some predation on juvenile Chinook salmon in 2022 to 2023. So if you want to learn more about that report, I'll be around the next few days.
So I know quite a few people. Tori Tyler, Bureau of Reclamation out of Klamath Falls. Irrigation season shut down some weeks ago. So our big push right now is to chase the water through the irrigation system and conduct our annual fish salvages. Other than that, and Eric Ryland is here from our office and Danielle Herford, we're all the fish biologists. We hope to learn what you guys are learning and offer collaboration and support as we continue forward with the current and the future management of the watershed.
Hey, I'm Ryan Bart. I'm the fisheries program lead for the Klamath tribes, and I'm here today with Jordan Ortega, and Jordan Ortega is our new anadromous fish specialist up there. So, yeah, as far as the Klamath tribes fisheries, we're still continuing to work on assisted rearing of Schwalm and Koptu, and so specifically. We're focusing on rearing larger fish to better understand that recruitment bottleneck and hopefully get them over that point. And then with the salmon coming into the basin now and Jordan on, we've been working alongside ODFW and then other partners within the basin for our telemetry efforts, and then also just to survey those fish as they move into the Oregon stretches of the Klamath River. And then I'm not sure if anybody's online, but then I just also give a shout out to some of the work our Ambadot department has been up to as far as restoration in the upper Klamath Basin, and so specifically around the Sprague and Upper Williamson reaches, just really doing great work in those areas. Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Sorry.
Megan Skinner, water quality specialist with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service in Klamath Falls. I have a number of ongoing water quality monitoring projects, including at 2 restored wetlands adjacent to Upper Klamath Lake. Also in the National Wildlife Refuges in Northern California. And then just wrapped up spat sampling for cyanotoxins in Upper Klamath Lake, which if you stay for the last talk, you'll get to hear all about. Also working on a couple feasibility projects, one with biochar, looking at the applicability to treat agricultural runoff to Upper Klamath Lake. We just wrapped up that feasibility study, and we're working on a report now. So more to come there. And then also looking at the feasibility of using lanthanum to assist in phosphorus sequestration in restored wetlands. We're kind of at a permitting investigation stage as we design a pilot project. So that is taking a bit of our time, as you all can imagine. And beyond that, a few other water quality related research projects likely coming this winter. And then working on a paper with Desiree actually and others, thinking about how to mitigate and control harmful cyanobacterial blooms. What are the options and how do the characteristics of the water body of interest affect feasible options? That's all I have.
Summer Burdick, USGS Western Fisheries Research Center. I know several of our members are probably, our staff are probably online. We have work in the lower basin, which is mostly focused around the stream salmonid simulator, the S3 model. That's a model that links flow to habitat availability to survival. So we're filling out data for that model, including the work that I presented earlier, but also some fine scale fish movement and habitat use monitoring, I guess, or sampling using acoustic telemetry at Beaver Creek. In the upper basin, our work is all focused on suckers. We have a couple of papers related to water quality and suckers that are coming out. One just published online in the Journal of Fish and Wildlife Management, which is on oxygenation and its effect on suckers. We also just submitted a paper on flushing flows and their effect on spawning suckers. And then the adult sucker status reports, which I guess aren't directly related to water quality, just were published recently on Science Base. So that's what we've been up to.
Hi there, Nell Scott with Trout Unlimited. I'm the director of our Klamath program based in Klamath Falls. We have a couple projects related to dam removal. One is that we've been, along with lots of partners, working on fencing around the reservoir footprints to try to keep out horses, cows, ATVs, vehicles, and allow that revegetation to be more successful. So fencing around J.C. Boyle is complete. Fencing around kind of the northwest side of Iron Gate is complete. And we did just receive notification from CDFW that we've gotten some additional funding to complete the rest of Iron Gate as well as the north side of Copco. So hopefully that will be done in the next, I don't know, 6-8 months. Better late than never to get those horses out of there. We also are working closely with many partners, especially the Family Water Alliance, to develop a fish screening program for the main stem Klamath River, especially around the Keno Reach. And so reaching out to, we have some funding for outreach and designs, and hopefully funding coming soon for some implementation. So really working with partners to try to figure out the best strategy for addressing fish screening on diversions as salmon are coming up into the Keno area. And then I don't think anybody else is in the room now for who's related to the Sprague collaboration project, but the Upper Klamath Basin Ag Collaborative, Klamath Tribes, a lot of other partners in the Upper Basin. We're working with them on a really important collaborative project to do some large scale restoration and sort of landowner agricultural resiliency work on the whole Sprague Basin, which is a tributary to Upper Klamath Lake. And our part of that right now is a lot of low-tech process-based restoration in the Upper Sprague, which we're really excited about the impacts that we're seeing from a sediment reduction standpoint in that. So I think there'll be more to come in the next year or so from that effort, but it's a really exciting collaborative effort with landowners and tribes and NGOs and government agencies working together. And I think that's it for me. Okay. Send it back over here.
Okay. My name is Soo Jin Lee. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Geomatics at OIT. So my background is in GIS and remote sensing. So since I moved in Klamath Falls about 2 years ago, I'm kind of new here. So I'm here to learn what you do. And also I need to see what kind of opportunity that I can have in terms of research. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Kunst, and I'm here with Tyler Jones from the Puliclaw Tribe of Yurok people, formerly known as Resgini Rancheria, located down at the upper part of the estuary of the Klamath River. I'm the Marine Program Manager, so this isn't really exactly my wheelhouse, but our director wasn't able to make it today. So I'll just share a few things that I know that we're working on, including ground and surface water quality monitoring down on the reservation close to the estuary, as well as eDNA and bathymetry studies, as well as ongoing salmonid monitoring in Junior and Wachel creeks and offshore channel ponds on the reservation. We were recently awarded money to restore some off-channel ponds and creeks and remove or shorten some culverts on the reservation. So yeah, that's what we've got going on.
My name is Laurel Ginzoli. You're going to hear a bit more this afternoon, but let's see, finished up at the University of Montana in the spring with my PhD. So I'm now at the University of Nevada, Reno, at least for the next year. And I'm working on a handful of projects still related to the Klamath River. I've been working with the Quartz Valley Indian Reservation to support their benthic cyanobacteria monitoring, and also supporting a PhD student working with them out of UNR. We have a report, or sorry, a publication that just came out from the 2021 benthic cyanobacteria work on the Klamath that I worked with Grant and Jake and some others on. I'm also working with Grant and John from Karuk, looking at how the McKinney fire sediment pulse affected stream metabolism with this really intense sediment that was coming in. And I'm going to present a little bit more this afternoon about some of the vegetation work that I've been doing, but working with a group out of Oregon State University who's supporting some of these longitudinal surveys of aquatic macrophytes and filamentous algae. And they're also doing some really cool biweekly sampling at a couple of sites to look more at the seasonal green up and how that's shifting with the turbidity pulses in the river. And I think I'll pass it to Jake from there.
I'm Jake Kahn with Aquatic Ecosystem Sciences, working on a variety of projects, mostly in the Upper Basin. I'll just mention a couple. One is an update of the long-term hydrologic and nutrient balances for Upper Klamath Lake. So previous iteration went through 2018. So now we've got, significantly more data. And I hope to actually include 2024 if we get the data soon enough, because it was a very unique year with very low production in Upper Klamath Lake. Hope to have that ready to present at KBMP maybe in the fall meeting. Won't be ready by the spring. So that's kind of a fun project. The Klamath tribes have been collecting these data since 1990. So we've got this long-term ecological database to be able to kind of tease out some of the trends been going on, look at whether or not some of the restoration activities are making a difference. And related to that, another project working with the Klamath tribes and Stillwater Sciences is looking at particle size distribution of inflowing water to the Williamson River Delta, to look at the Williamson River Delta as a means to trap phosphorus coming into Upper Klamath Lake. So I'll leave it at that for now.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sasha Hallett, and I'm part of the fish disease team at Oregon State University. So we've been primarily involved actually for the past 2 decades now with monitoring fish disease, mainly in salmonids and mainly in the lower basin. And that's been made possible through collaborations with our tribal colleagues, but also through a unique situation of having long-term funding primarily through the Bureau of Reclamation that's enabled these efforts. You heard from Julie this morning about annelid sampling. So that host sampling is one third of the monitoring that we do. We also complement that with sentinel fish exposures in the basin, and then also direct quantification of waterborne infectious stages in fish through water sampling efforts. And so some of those efforts take place on a weekly basis and others are seasonal. Obviously, this year we've had some challenges with our monitoring efforts, including not being able to collect, for instance, the usual multi-liters of water with the high sediment loads and having to reduce that. So some of our sensitivity of our methods have been challenged this year, as well as everybody's patience. So they've been modified a little bit this year and we've had to adapt. We plan to continue the bulk of those efforts going forward. And indeed, I look forward over the next few days seeking input from various members of this audience and those that join us tomorrow, because we'd like to adapt those our monitoring efforts to reflect the reconnection of the basin and the change in fish passage, and hopefully changes in fish disease situations as well. So we'll be looking to add sites in the mid-basin and also to add spring Chinook. We mainly do fall Chinook as our primary fish because obviously they've been the dominant species, but we'd like to start including spring Chinook now too, and being sensible about where we do our sampling. So hence I'd like to seek input from you all on that. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, folks. Mike Dixon with the Trinity River Restoration Program, here with Eric Peterson from my office. We haven't been to for a couple meetings, so one of the big accomplishments in recent history was last December, we finished the largest main stem restoration project we built on the Trinity River, removed 550,000 cubic yards of mine tailings sediment from the valley bottom and restored a couple dozen acres of floodplain habitat. This summer, we just wrapped up the first phase of what will be probably the second or third largest restoration project we've ever done. So a lot of effort right now to kind of remove constraints on the river's ability to heal itself. One of the things that we're painfully aware of is that our flow management for the last couple decades is not making the best use of that floodplain habitat. So pending approval by the Department of Interior, we're hoping to implement a single year change to how we manage our environmental flow regime, emphasizing a storm synchronized geomorphic event and increasing winter base flows, things that make sense to people who understand how rivers work, but it's been hard to get across the policy finish line on that. If we had more time, I'd let Eric give a more detailed update on what we're doing on the science and monitoring side of the program. But I think one of our big foci right now is our adult Chinook salmon limiting factors analysis that we're working on with Kramer Fish Sciences. We've had about 250% increase in the number of juvenile Chinook that we produce for every spawner. And yet we've had a 38% decline in the number of adult Chinook coming back. So we're really trying to get to the root of what are our bottlenecks and which of those bottlenecks are knobs that we have some control over. So more to come on that, hopefully, for the next meeting.
Hi, everybody. I'm John Harrison. I'm a professor up at Washington State University on the Vancouver campus. And I've been interested in greenhouse gas emissions from reservoirs. And we have a project on the Klamath River now. There's widespread recognition that reservoirs are a substantial source of methane to the atmosphere. And there are a few studies that have tracked long-term emissions from reservoirs before, during, and after flooding. And those have shown an increase in methane emissions with that flooding event. This is a really amazing opportunity to look at whether that process is reversible and to what extent and over what time period. And that's something that we're looking at with some funding support from the Bureau of Reclamation.
Good afternoon. My name is Angelina Cook. I work with the California Sport Fishing Protection Alliance, and we are focused primarily on in-stream flow requirements in the Shasta and Scott tributaries so that dam removal in the Klamath can have its intended results. I'm also working on dam removal in Battle Creek. And I just wanted to say, Randy, thank you very much for this gathering. I think this is the first KBMP meeting since the dams came down. And I know last night's, or at least the big one. And I know last night's election put a damper on this morning, but I just really wanted to extend my gratitude to everyone in this room who has been part of this effort.
I'm Eli Asarian with Riverbend Sciences in Eureka. Some projects that I'm working on is using satellite remote sensing to track water use on farms in the Scott and Shasta Valley. So I finished a report on that I presented on last year. It came up and I'm working on trying to get that published now, and then hopefully be doing an update of that soon this year with additional years. With USGS and the Bureau of Reclamation, working on an update of the RBM10 temperature model that Reclamation and others use to simulate the water temperature response to flows. We're going to be updating that model to incorporate the dam removal. And one decision we need to make soon is what tributaries to include in the reservoir reach. So if anyone has opinions on which tributaries we should include in the reservoir reach in that model for water temperature, let me know. And then I'm also working with the Klamath tribes and Jacob Kahn at Aquatic Ecosystem Sciences on looking at the effects of the bootleg fire on water temperatures. And I don't know where this goes next. Anybody look at that?
Yeah, DJ Bandrowski, project engineer for the Yurok Tribes Fisheries Department. We have a lot of different projects going around in the basin, but more notably for this group, we're just starting bathymetric data collection on the Klamath Dam Removal Reach next week. So crews will be out doing boat-based sonar surveys. We just finished a bunch of LiDAR and temperature mapping imagery surveys in the reservoir reach. And we'll be continuing that through the year into 2025 to complement the 2018 data set for the full Klamath River bathymetry digital terrain model. So that's we're working on that and many other data collection projects.
Hi, everybody. Liam Shank, U.S. Geological Survey, joined in person today by Jenny Curtis, research geologist, Sandra, who many of you know, Sandra Bond, a hydrologist from California, and Patrick, who you heard from today. Also, probably a lot of people online from Klamath Falls and our other field offices. Quick update on Upper Klamath Lake monitoring is done for the year. As Jake mentioned, it's kind of a weird year in that the algal bloom densities were really low. Got us, all of us scratching our heads. So with all the brain power in this room, it would be really good to come up with some theories on why that happened. Compliance monitoring for the dam removal continues in our cooperative efforts with Karuk and the UROC. We'll be collecting suspended sediment samples again this year, as we talked about earlier today. And our work also continues on our integrated basin study. And I mentioned this in a couple of past meetings, but we'll be standing up a website for this. And this is intended to be a basin-wide water availability study for the Klamath Basin, looking at groundwater issues in the upper basin, particularly in the Williamson River sub-basin, and also incorporating in all of our dam removal research with that, and to talk about how water availability will affect sediment movement and habitat. We're a little behind in our outreach on that because we were all busy last year with the drawdowns and everything. So I think by the time spring KBMP comes around, we should have a pretty good website for everybody to see what we're working on there. And that is the end of it.
Dun, dun, dun. It's like, who's the next recipient? Okay. I'll just say I'm really excited about mud cracks. I'm Jenny Curtis. Well, I think we ended up over here. I've been measuring mud cracks in the lower river and the depth and the width, tracking reservoir sediment. Did you guys go? Did you guys go? Where are we going? Okay.
I am Monica Diaz with Pacific States Marine Fisheries Commission, and we're supporting the Klamath Basin Fisheries Collaborative, building the pit tag collaborative database. And the database is done, and we're starting work with the member agencies of helping them standardize data to get that into current data into the database, and then training them how to, in the future, get their own data into the system so they can start tracking salmon together.
Hello, Ocean O'Rourke, Yurok Tribal Fisheries Klamath Program. For 2024, we've continued our usual research and monitoring projects, including rotary screw trapping in Witchpeck, Sea Shasta, and Ick water sampling in the lower river, our thermal refugia dives, our collaborative juvenile outmigration study and acoustic tag monitoring with Summer and USGS and other partners. Let's see, we've also continued our adult fish health monitoring for prevalence of ick and columnaris. We are working on sonar review footage for the collaborative sonar project and the upstream reaches. We've added 2 new sites to our macro and vertebrate sampling in the Klamath River in the former reservoir reach, and our red and carcass survey below Iron Gate is currently ongoing.
Hi, my name is Josh Cahill. I'm the water program manager for the Yurok Tribe Environmental Department. I'm here with a boatload of coworkers. Got Abraham Salib over here, Regine Familia. Sorry, I totally butchered your last name. Thatcher Alvarado, Catherine Major, Julian Palmisano, and Michelle Peruzzi. We've partnered with a lot of people in this room for continuing our main stem tributary and wetlands water quality monitoring. We also have been working with Jenny from the USGS and Liam with sediment accretion, and we also have like a sediment nutrient study that we're starting that's pretty exciting. We've also a couple of new projects. We're looking at water quantity and drought resilience in the context of how this impacts tribal communities on the reservation, and also a soil moisture and surface water response to cultural fire project. I think that's I'll leave it at that.
All right, Randy Turner with the Klamath Basin Monitoring Program. You've heard from me already, and I'll talk a little bit more tomorrow, but we're pursuing funding for U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service right now. We're going to have a little gap in our program for a bit until then. The main goal is to continue running KBMP, and also to help with this broader effort to develop a monitoring plan for the basin. So kind of with that, we hope to revise our water quality monitoring plan, which will get us a more complete picture of the monitoring that's going on, so we can identify what priorities exist for monitoring, what gaps exist, where there's duplication, and where we can rearrange efforts. And a lot of that's meant to really understand, what things are not funded, and see if we can develop some priorities for the very limited funding that's available. Thank you. Did you guys get that?
Hi, I'm Betsy Stapleton from the Scott River Watershed Council. The Watershed Council is in the Scott watershed, and we're a small place-based NGO. Like many people, we've had just an amazing year of monitoring and implementation with the flood of money that's entered the basin, but we're looking ahead, and we're moving from small site-specific projects to tackling some of the big issues. And so I'm going to speak to that project, which is the Scott River Recovery Action Plan, that is looking at the entire main stem Scott River and identifying the geomorphic impairments, some of which you can see walking around, like deep incision and 10-foot riprap banks that have had multiple consequences. So we're looking at the entire reach and developing a restoration plan, trying to really understand what does the river need to provide ecological service. And inevitably, because it's a private land landscape and it's the most productive agricultural land in the valley, we're going to be talking to individual landowners and saying, it'd be really handy if you gave us a couple of hundred of your acres. And so that entails understanding what that means economically. What does it mean to society? What does it mean to that landowner? And there's a great concern on the agricultural community that if you take out 10% of production, then all the services that are dependent on that, the slaughterhouse, the fertilizer and all that, there won't be enough volume. So we're really tackling with some of the deeply perplexing issues that as a society, we need to start really wrestling with. We're working closely with Laura and the Groundwater Advisory Committee and the model she's developed, and trying to use that tool and bringing in, we have a tight working group with representation from tribes, other local NGOs, and the agricultural community. And we sit down on a regular basis and have the most direct and frank and sometimes difficult conversations that I've been involved in. But if we're going to move beyond these, really great, but site-specific and limited impact projects, this is where we're going to have to go. So wish us luck. It's not an easy lift.
Allison O'Dowd, Cal Poly Humboldt. I'm here with grad student Rosa Cox, and we have finished 3 years of data collection looking at downstream impacts of dam removal on food webs. And we're working with Taz and his crew with the Karuk tribe and folks at UC Davis to do stable isotope analysis to try and get a handle on what's happening with food resources for primarily juvenile Chinook salmonids in the spring. And so we have 2 more years of post-dam removal data to go. And while I'm here, I also wanted to mention, because Darren Ward is out in the field today, so he's not here today, but he'll be here tomorrow, but he's also at Cal Poly Humboldt, and he has a multi-year study looking at marine-derived nutrients and comparing downstream tributaries, Bogus Creek and Beaver Creek, with some upstream tributaries, Shovel Creek, Fall Creek, and Jenny Creek, to try and track those marine-derived nutrients as they come back to the system upstream of the dam. So, thanks.
Thank you. I'm Laura Foglia with UC Davis, University of California, Davis, and Larry Walker Associates. I'm here with my colleague Audra Barsley and Kelsey McNeil. You will hear about some of our projects just in a little while, but our role is a little different. We are interested by the Klamath Dam removal, but we mostly work with the Groundwater Sustainability Agency in Siskiyou County, and we are working with them in developing this groundwater sustainability plan for Scott, Shasta, and Butte Valley. So all valleys that are kind of related to the Klamath. So our role is looking into option and now implementation of projects that can help support some of the critical flows in the rivers through a variety of approaches that look into the supply, the demand, and how we can really we can find a good balance so that we can really have a sustainable flow, sustainable life in the valleys, and like what Betsy was saying earlier. Mm-hmm. There.
Well,
go ahead. Okay.
Great to see everybody. My name is Sybil Diver, and I'm at Stanford University. Glad to be doing some collaborative research with the Cutter Tribe on social impact assessment of dam removal, building on some of the Crook Tribe, UC Berkeley collaborative work from years ago. And we'll share more later on today.
My name is John. I'm the biologist for the Kaduk Tribe Water Quality Department. You've heard our name a number of times already today, and we have a lot of collaborations, too much to mention, but we are working on the compliance monitoring for the dam removal from Keno to Orleans. We have new equipment going in this year at the Scott River and Indian Creek. We're in the middle of a big nutrient analysis looking at retention, seasonality, flow relationships, long-term trends. We're working on metabolism with Laurel and ongoing impacts of the McKinney fire and what that means for aquatic ecology, and more coming soon.
Hi, I'm Tammy Church. I'm from the Army Corps of Engineers Environmental Planning. I'm the section chief, and I'm here with Lexi Karen. We are representing the environmental team for the Army Corps, who has a new partnership with the Yurok Tribe for an ecosystem restoration project. It is as broad as it sounds right now, and even though the federal government is not known for working fast, the first 90 days are really going to be focusing in on how do we narrow down the geographic scope, how do we develop our objectives, and that's why we're here today, is to listen and to learn. Where are the gaps, where are the opportunities, where are other people doing work, how can we dovetail with that, and where can our project provide the most lift? So thanks for letting us be here today.
Anybody else? Okay, it sounds like we'll go to the folks on Zoom after this last couple here in the room.
Hi, my name is Alma Nunez Gutierrez, and I'm a new environmental scientist at the Wairika Office for California Department of Fish and Wildlife. I oversee the juvenile outmigration of through the rotary screw traps that we have on the Scott and the Shasta. We concluded rotary screw trapping towards the end of June this year, and immediately jumped into snorkel surveys, which focused on the Shasta Canyon. And right now we are still working on final reports for that rotary screw trapping season.
All right, really appreciate that. It is a machine gun of information. I know that. We're going to go to people on Zoom at this point. So let's see if we can get anyone lined up. Please use the raise your hand feature. That might be a good way to put you in an order that we can then call on. And I'm going to hope that audio in the room is going to work well. Benji.
All right. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
All
Thanks, Ben.
right. So my name is Benji Ramirez with the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. And our crews have been out in conjunction with the Klamath tribes surveying the salmon as they come back into Oregon. So it's been pretty exciting. So what they found is just a little bit upstream from the state line is a place called Caldera Rapids where they've kind of ended their downstream end of the surveys. And from there upstream to the former J.C. Boyle Dam site, they've found 40, as they have had a maximum daily count of 40 Chinook salmon. They found 12 reds and no carcasses yet. But what's also pretty exciting is from the J.C. Boyle Dam site to Spencer Creek. So this is all the former footprint for J.C. Boyle Reservoir. They've actually observed a maximum daily count of 21 fish in the former reservoir, 19 reds and 3 carcasses. And then, of course, the most exciting stuff and where we first found fish was in Spencer Creek. And in Spencer Creek, we've had a maximum daily count of 115. That was our record day, and 42 reds. And so far, we've sampled 27 carcasses there. So it's pretty exciting. And the work that we've been doing in conjunction with Cal Trout and the Karuk tribe and all the other partners has been pretty great. They, a few weeks ago, tagged 2 jacks, Chinook salmon, and 1 steelhead. And surprisingly, one of those salmon have already showed up in Oregon. So the crews are out today trying to pinpoint where it's at. Yeah, pretty exciting. So we hope it keeps on going. But all right, that's all I got. Thanks.
I believe it's my turn. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, just let me know if you cannot hear me. My name is Mike Thomas. I'm the Freshwater Harmful Algal Bloom Coordinator for the North Coast Water Board. Some of you may recognize me. I review the US EPA microsystems results that's collected in the basin and make some posting recommendations for the tribes based on those planktonic samples. And I'll be speaking to you all later this afternoon about some of our benthic cyanobacteria monitoring recommendations. So looking forward to that discussion. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Now, Carrie Ann.
Yeah, hi everyone. Eli had to step off for another meeting and wanted to relay some information about the Scottish SASTA waivers and that they're being updated to become WDRs and they'll be adopted hopefully in October 2025. Between now and then, there will be an informal and formal opportunities for public input and comment. So reach out to Eli if you'd like more information.
All right, thanks, Carrie Ann. Anyone else on Zoom want to give a mini update? We're actually slightly ahead of schedule somehow. So I appreciate everyone's brevity. All right. Anyone? Bueller? No. Well, that was great. I want to thank everyone who did contribute. You know, there is so much going on in the basin, and one of the things I repeatedly heard was not just that we're doing this, we're doing this in conjunction with these other groups. That's the collaboration that I think is so important, to bring in different expertise, to bring in folks who are out in the field doing things, researchers at universities, the agencies. It connects so many important groups together that just makes for a better project, asking better questions and hopefully getting better answers. So that's really outstanding to hear that level of collaboration.